Hey, welcome everyone. We are live on Facebook. 20 million Americans have some form of thyroid disease. Women are 5 to 8 times more likely than men to have a thyroid problem. Can naturopathy help with the thyroid issues? I'm Amita from Nourish Doc, a platform for natural and holistic therapies. Presenting this topic, we have Dr. Ange, who is board certified naturopathic physician. Dr. Wetzel has been doing and specializes in thyroid and adrenal disorders, biological terrain assessment, electrophysiological feedback, aromatherapy, and more. Dr. Wetzel teaches many classes on a variety of subjects all over the country. Welcome, Dr. Wetzel.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's get started with your talk now.
All right. Well, this picture, I could not say this better in words why I created this picture. So people don't understand when they get a thyroid medication from a doctor or even a thyroid supplement, that with every dose they take, the adrenals shut down, because the thyroid and the adrenals are like Siamese twins, almost like one body and two heads. If you only feed one head, the other one dies off. And so the adrenals are critical for thyroid hormone conversion. And if we do not support both of them and keep the body in balance, we develop heart disease and more. So that's why this picture is so important.
Okay, moving on. What other thyroid issues one can have?
You know, there's not enough room on any slide to write down all of the problems because people don't understand it. So constipation means less than 3 bowel movements a day. I always say if 3 trucks go into a tunnel, 3 trucks should come out the other end. Otherwise, there is traffic obstruction. So weight problems. When I was young, for example, I could not gain weight. But as I got older, I started struggling with weight. So whether you're under or overweight, it can be thyroid either way. People have high cholesterol, blood sugar problems. The thyroid hormones control cholesterol levels. The thyroid hormones have to, so to speak, grab blood sugar when it's in the blood and move it into the cell. If you do not have enough thyroid hormones to grab that blood sugar, it stays in the blood, creating elevated blood sugar levels. Fatigue, a lot of people struggle with fatigue. Female menses irregularity. I've seen more miscarriages in women, and all the time I hear about miscarriages, but just not everybody is open to understand that it is a thyroid problem in most cases. Infertility and depression, even ADD and ADHD, hair loss, dry skin, brittle fingernails, low blood pressure, poor resistance to stress. Excess stress causes estrogen dominance and excess cortisol. Both of these, estrogen as well as the excess cortisol, binds thyroid hormones. So when the hormones are bound up, they cannot work for you. And that is another thing that people don't understand. Even overeating, every calorie that you eat too much, your body turns into estrogen, becomes estrogen dominance, blocks thyroid hormones. The United States has high levels of radon in the ground all over the United States, but specifically in the Midwest, we have high levels of radon. Radon affects thyroid function. Since there are 3 control groups in the United States for the measurement of thyroid, for example, there's a control group in the Southeast, in the Midwest, and in the Northwest. This control group is made up of people who go to the doctor and get blood work done. So the people who go to the doctor are people that are sick. If you're healthy, you don't go to the doctor. At least I don't see why. So people with health problems go to the doctor, they make up this control group, and they establish the quote unquote normal ranges. So normal ranges really are for sick people. It's very important to understand that thyroid hormones are produced in the brain, then they are converted to T3 hormones. T4 circulates in the blood, and if you look at this picture, you can see that part of it is turned into T3 in the liver, in the kidneys, and in the intestines, in the Peyer's patches. So these conversions take place, but these conversions, and it is so much information that I I do 7-hour lectures, so obviously I cannot cover everything in this short introduction, but there is a whole list of precursors that are necessary to turn T4 into T3. And I compare it because I deal with people that have all levels of education. So everybody to understand, I compare it to baking a cake, Amina. It's like, you're my best friend and I have a party tomorrow. And I said, could you please help me out and make the cake for my party? And I hand you a bag of flour and a bottle of milk. And you're like, where are all the other ingredients? Well, when a doctor, so to speak, gives somebody Synthroid, they're giving that person a T4 hormone and the body goes, where is the magnesium? Where is the vitamin E? Where is the selenium? Where is the progesterone? Where is the DHA? Where is the calcium? Where is the zinc? Where are the other ingredients that, quote unquote, make the cake? Thus, a T4 hormone that you get in the prescription floats in the blood and mostly goes out through the urine and majorly stays unused. So people still have all these health problems because the body cannot convert those hormones. Why I insist on natural thyroid hormones if you have a problem. The best way to test your own thyroid is to take your underarm temperature before you get up in the morning. If you still have a monthly cycle, day 2, 3, and 4 of your monthly cycle. If you no longer have a monthly cycle, then it is anytime you want to before arising in the morning. Your temperature should be 97.5. I have struggled with low thyroid my whole life. Nobody ever diagnosed me. So I started working with an endocrinologist in Europe who does urine testing. My blood work was completely normal, right in the middle of normal ranges. The urine test showed that I had 15% active hormones. Severely underactive thyroid. It's a struggle in the United States to get a proper diagnosis, to get proper help, because healing is not taught in medical school. Treating of symptoms is taught. So if people want proper help, they have to take nutrients so the body can utilize and convert hormones. I hope that makes sense to everybody.
Yes. Let's come to naturopathy. How can naturopathy help?
Yes, how can it help? So naturopathy, we don't just give a thyroid hormone because, again, it's the risk. You cannot just treat one little gland in the body when it's part of the whole body. So we look at the body as the whole, including emotions. People with thyroid problems, are you choking in your emotions? Are you able to speak up for yourself? I call it bottlenecking because, here's your body and then there's the neck and we choke because we can't speak up, we can't express emotions. And so it causes a lot of emotional problems. The thyroid literally is the gland of the emotions, but it's also the gateway to the brain. On a little side note, I have done some research with people who work in Alzheimer's facilities and mental institutions for criminally ill. And I've asked, can you find out how many people take thyroid hormones? And usually it's Synthroid or Levothyroxine. At a local Alzheimer's facility here in Kansas City, it was 100%. At a prison of the mentally ill, it was 76%. They just don't even look at these numbers. They just put people on medicine, but they don't look at this population as to what do they have in common that causes this. So that's kind of where my passion comes from. So I use flower essences to help deal with emotions. Essences of the Mariposa lily, the pine, scarlet monkey flower, aspen, mountain pride. There's just a list of flower essences that I use to help people release those emotions, because when those emotions are released, it releases the energy in the organs. Because we hold on to emotions and choke in them, and there's no energy flowing in the meridians of the body. And so we are a pathway. Our whole body is a pathway of nervous systems. I'll call nerves the highways on which the hormones travel. And so you got to keep the pathways open and to keep the flow going so that you can speak. So since thyroid, so treatment options, some of the supplements that I use, I target specifically because thyroid hormones are converted in liver, kidneys, and small intestines. Like I said, we need to heal and detox these organs. If you have ever been on prescription drugs, they are drugs. They are not food. They leave damage. And if you do research on particular medications, it'll say it will be out of the body in 3 months. As a naturopathic doctor, I find markings in the eye of drugs that were taken 20 years ago. It's still in the body, and it still causes an obstacle in the fibers of the tissues. So we need to detox these organs. If your liver is damaged or your kidneys are damaged from any medications, they cannot properly convert to hormones. So it all starts in the gut, in the liver, in the kidneys. We need to address that. Ferritin, this is key. No doctor tests for ferritin levels. So if you're postmenopausal, your ferritin needs to be between 80 and 100 for your body to convert thyroid hormones. Oh, and that's a typo. And between 130 and 150 if you are premenopausal. I am sorry.
Yeah. There is a typo. Sorry, apologies for that. Yes.
No, I did that. I'm sure I did that. I'll send that to you. I was in a hurry because I had a class that night. It's 130, between 130 and 150 if you are premenopausal. It is critical for thyroid hormones to convert from T4 to T3. TPO antibodies, doctors don't test for that. Anti-thyroid antibodies. This is an autoimmune. I had somebody in my office and I sent her for these antibody tests. Her numbers were over 1,200. She had an autoimmune disease, a thyroid autoimmune disease, meaning it's either Hashimoto's or Graves' disease. Graves' disease is an overactive thyroid. There's usually the bulging of the eyes. You know, people have hot temperature. They have frequent bowel movements. Everything is accelerated. In Hashimoto's, it's underactive thyroid. Everything is slowed down, including digestion, which can lead to lots of other problems, like I said. But it is critical, and these are some very basic tests. Your TSH is about the only test that a medical doctor will run on you. And if you have problems with your pituitary gland, like I do, it doesn't show up in your blood work because, it looks normal, but it's not normal. And they don't know how to test for the pituitary gland, for which, we use different methods. But if you want to find out about your thyroid, these tests are critical. So food-grade iodine supplements. Synthetic removes natural. I want to give you an example of something that has been in the news that in recent years that you can still find. There was a study done on men who had prostate cancer. They were given synthetic vitamin E, and the result was that vitamin E causes prostate cancer. Well, what happened here? The vitamin E that was given was synthetic. It removed the natural vitamin E from the body. These people already had prostate cancer, so they were at high risk, so the prostate cancer came back. We use, I've seen women in my office with breast implants, silicone breast implants that leaked, and they were very ill. I use organic, plant-based silicone to chelate or remove the artificial silicone. So if you take chemicals, it will remove the natural substances from your body. That is something that everybody really should know, because people just buy supplements anywhere. It says all natural. They don't know about NSF certifications or ISO certifications in these companies. The label says, well, the label means nothing. It's paper. You can print anything on paper, we say in Europe. So food grade multivitamin for conversion factors based on age. You may need DHEA. It's another conversion factor. Progesterone, again, I use herbs for progesterone. You need calcium and magnesium, and it needs to contain iodine and some hydrochloric acid so you can absorb them. Potassium is critical. Vitamin E with selenium. So there's a lot of hype about selenium for the thyroid. Well, if selenium is not combined with vitamin E, your body can't utilize it. Same the other way around. If you take vitamin E without selenium, your body cannot utilize it. Sarsaparilla is a natural source of progesterone, lady's mantle, cohosh. So what I like to do, it's like I use combinations. Why do I use combinations? If I have a combination with, let's say, 3 herbs, and the herbs energetically test at a 3, so to speak. So that is 3 plus 3 plus 3. You say, oh, the energy pattern for this combination is 9. That's incorrect. The energy pattern for that combination is 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So that is the energy pattern of a combination, much more powerful than an individual herb why, again, I like to combine different herbs. And these are just some of them that I use, obviously. And different people need different herbs and different combinations, but it is critical that we combine them, that we give the body as much energy as possible to address the gland.
Some of the protocols, and you talked about the herbs earlier, but what are some of the other common herbs and additional supplements or protocols that we use?
Okay, absolutely. I just explained, why I like to use blends for effectiveness. So some other combinations, dulse, black walnut, those contain iodine. They're natural sources of iodine. There's iodine on the market, but it is synthetic. And I do some urine and saliva assessments in my office. And after a while, when these people take these type of iodine supplements, it shows that their body is getting congested. So in other words, that iodine stays in their bodily fluids, the body cannot absorb it, and it creates a congested atmosphere through which nutrients cannot travel to the cell. So here we are suffocating in our own waste, so to speak. So it's very important, again, to use food-based supplements to get better. Irish moss is wonderful. Sarsaparilla, again, progesterone. It's a natural precursor to progesterone. The body needs progesterone to convert thyroid hormones. Parsley is very high in nutrients. Watercress, also very high in nutrients. So this is another combination. Always support the adrenals. Like I said earlier, you don't want to just feed one head of the Siamese twins, but use caution with licorice root. I don't mind using licorice root, but licorice root is high in natural sodium. And what that means is that the body has a sodium-potassium pump, and it needs to be even. It's like a scale. So if you get too much sodium in, then the potassium drops out. You get too much potassium, the sodium drops out. And so when you get too much sodium, it can raise blood pressure in people. So when people have high blood pressure, if I do use licorice root, I always add a natural source of potassium. Why the caution? So then dandelion, asparagus, dong quai. Dong quai promotes oxygenation in the liver. I mean, how wonderful is that? It raises metabolism. It helps to balance blood sugar. Also, it's a good source of B12. Eleuthero is another adaptogenic. It supports the adrenals and the pancreas, also supports pituitary gland to promote changes in liver cells. So why do we want to make changes in the liver cells? Because damage has been done, because of environment, because of diet and drugs. Schisandra is a wonderful adaptogen. It works on the nervous system, and it is actually a tonic to revive and strengthen the nervous system. One that is very popular these days is ashwagandha. It's also an adaptogenic. People need to reduce stress. We have so much stress. Sometimes we feel like we're going to pop. People have depression and anxiety and all these problems. And again, with low thyroid, you have a hard time coping with stress. So ashwagandha, actually, clinical studies have been done and have shown, and I have a lot of clinical studies on that it actually also helps thyroid function. It's a very good product for the thyroid. So we need to support that. It even helps with autoimmune diseases. It's shown to be beneficial for lupus. And that brings me to a different subject, that autoimmune diseases, most of them, are caused by low thyroid. You can find a connection between lupus and thyroid on the internet in clinical studies. It's everywhere. So reduce stress because it increases cortisol. Cortisol binds up thyroid hormones. Don't overeat. It causes excess estrogen, blocks thyroid hormones. Then there are lots of chemicals like fluoride that is found in water and in toothpaste. It also interrupts iodine absorption. Medications, specifically statin drugs. This is going to be, I hope there's nobody medical on this presentation, because statin drugs block thyroid hormones. And thyroid controls cholesterol. So here we have a merry-go-round that is just going down and down and down, making a hole in the ground and creating a grave for your health. So these things are very important to deal with for overall health. I think.
Yeah, let's story.
My story. Oh, I have had to deal with so much. So yes, my story with medical ailments, I've had constipation as a child. I used to go once a week until I learned better. Always had dry skin, struggled with fatigue, with concentration. When I was in class, if I didn't sit on the front row, I couldn't concentrate. At home as a child, if there were children playing outside in the street and I heard the sounds, I couldn't focus on my schoolwork. Like I said, I've been underweight, struggled with excess weight. I've had struggles with depression, anxiety. I've had infertility problems. I have had fibromyalgia. Yes, I have none of this anymore. But, these are just some of the things that I personally have dealt with because nobody looked at the thyroid. They just want to give you an antidepressant. And just because I'm a woman, it is not all in my head.
And did you treat yourself?
That's how they look at women, Oh yeah. I take a lot of supplements. I do treat myself because there's no doctor they just don't know how. Like I said, they give Levothyroxine or Thyroid, and they just don't have a clue about the T4, T3 conversion. So unless you learn to help yourself, I educate. That's why I was thrilled to speak to you on thyroid, because if I can just help people understand, there is nothing, you're not crazy. Women, you're not crazy. You don't need that antidepressant. You don't need that anti-anxiety medication if the cause gets addressed. Because we don't get a headache because you're low on aspirin or Tylenol. You don't get depression because you're low on Paxil. Let's find a cause and look at the whole person and help people. Spirit, mind, and body is naturopathy. It's total healing. Nothing invasive, all done with food, and the body can heal itself. But we do not treat symptoms. I cannot make you feel better by tomorrow. It takes time for the body to heal.
Okay. That's I think that's beautiful, and how you're treating yourself. So let's switch a little bit. Let's talk about a couple of other success stories of your clients.
I had a young lady come into work for me. She was 33 years old. She had severe menstrual cramp. She says, Dr. Inge, if you can't help me, I'm going to have a hysterectomy. And she was 33 years old. She had 2 miscarriages. She was a basket case emotionally, and she says, you are my last hope. So I put her on a protocol of a detox, a gut health program. I put her on Chinese herbs for the liver and removed heavy metals from the body. Women especially have high levels of heavy metals in the body because of cosmetics. They don't think about that. They color their hair. Yes, I'm gray, but you know what? It's wisdom. I finally had to come to grips with that. I can no longer preach and not live what I'm preaching. So I let go of the hair coloring. Like I said, the fluoride, the statin drugs. So you need to detox. A food-based multivitamin, then a blend. I gave her a blend of black cohosh and blessed thistle and non quai and some other herbs to help balance her female hormones. And within the first month, her cycles were no longer painful. I put her on a thyroid formula. And yes, I lost an employee. It broke my heart. She was the best employee I ever had. But 3 months later, she was pregnant. Everybody was celebrating. We had a basket. I had a health food store at the time. We had a basket in the store, and everybody brought gifts for the baby. And she gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and then she wanted to stay at home. So yes, that's like, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I lost a wonderful employee. But yes, she had a wonderful son. And no problems with the pregnancy because I kept check on her throughout the pregnancy.
Great success story. Great success story.
Yes. This gentleman came to me. He had applied for life insurance and could not get life insurance. His cholesterol was over 600. Again, the treatment was detoxification, Chinese liver herbs, gut healing so that the gut could convert to hormones. Again, the food-based multivitamin, it contains a lot of ingredients to help convert that T4 to T3. I gave him digestive enzymes because people who have high cholesterol are not digesting their fats properly, okay? And a natural thyroid formula. Took me 3 months to bring cholesterol levels down to the normal ranges, and he was able to get insurance. So I always say prevention pays. Why? Reduce healthcare costs. You know, you don't spend all that money on all those health problems, and your quality of life improves. You can pay now by being proactive and, you know, buying supplements and getting on a protocol, or you pay later in life with all your cholesterol problems and your statin drug and your diabetes and strokes and everything else. And then life insurance majorly reduces cost of life insurance when you get checked. So there are lots of benefits that people don't even think about, you know, to be proactive and prevent health problems. This is one of my favorite stories. His cholesterol was so high, and he just was so thrilled, you know, to bring it down. And that's the other thing. There are no medical records. The insurance cannot go to your doctor and request medical records because there aren't any. So your cholesterol is normal, and there are no statin drugs or anything else on your records. So that's the other thing that protects you financially. I'll be happy. I don't know how much time we have left. Oh, thyroid hormone blockers. Yes, yes, yes. Aluminum antiperspirants. Maalox contains aluminum. All these block thyroid hormones. Excess estrogen, we talked a little about that, overeating. Pesticides, stress. Fluoride blocks iodine receptors. Iodine is necessary to make and build thyroid hormones in the body. Chlorine, that is found in lots of water, blocks iodine. Bromide, found in commercial breads, blocks iodine. And lots of prescription drugs. Like I said, the statin drugs are one of the major ones that block thyroid hormones. So we need to watch what we put into our body, what we wash ourselves with, what we drink. And we can prevent a lot of problems down the line.
That's good.
I think that is that the last slide?
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else you want to add before we open it up for questions? Please think about all the questions you want to ask Dr. Wetzel. She's right here.
Yeah. The biggest thing is please check your underarm temperature. Don't let a doctor tell you there is nothing wrong with you, because that is what I see all the time. People say, my blood work is normal. Why do I feel so bad? My blood work is normal. Why do I have this? And when I start talking about all these symptoms, like, yeah, I have that. I had, well, my mother was on thyroid hormones. My aunt was on thyroid hormones, my grandfather. And I always say, if they did not have good thyroid DNA, how can they pass normal DNA on to you? It's physically impossible. So, you know, it makes people think, look at yourself. We can diagnose ourselves. Don't look at blood work. You know, when somebody walks in here and I see dark skin in their neck, right away I know sugar is coming out through the skin. There's blood sugar problems. Oh, my blood work is normal. What is normal? Normal is sick. Be proactive. Take care of yourself. You only get one body. When it goes, you're gone. I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are some.
Sure. All right. So somebody's asking, what about a swimming pool? I have one and use borax and chlorine in that.
Yes, you don't want to do that. I had a swimming pool. I had an ozonator. So you can get an ozonator to help keep the water clean. You can get salt pools. Don't do chlorine. If you do chlorine, the biggest thing is you go in the shower before you get in the pool, so your body doesn't absorb any. You're wet from top to bottom, your hair, everything, so you don't absorb the water when you jump in. I mean, that's the only thing I can tell you if you cannot change it, but you don't want to chlorinate a pool.
Okay. But most of the pools, you know, if you go to gyms or any of the clubs, they use chlorine all the time. So
yeah, and you smell it and you're breathing it in even. It's horrible.
Yes. I always have a hard time too. All right. So we have another question. Somebody's asking, do I take my temperature underarm every morning when postmenopausal or on a certain number of days?
If you get 3 different days during the week, that will be fine. But make sure you get it before you raise your head. Put the thermometer on your nightstand and before you raise your head, just like 3 different days. And if you want to do it at night as well, that also is an indication of hormonal function. But before you raise your head in the morning, gives you the thyroid temperature, as I always call it. I remember when I first did it, when I first took my temperature, Amita, 95.6. So right now with this quote unquote epidemic going on, I just have to laugh because they want to take your temperature. By the way, don't let them take your temperature on your forehead. I make them use my wrist. You don't want that aimed at your brain. But if your normal temperature is 96 degrees and you're walking in the store at 98 degrees, you're normal, you have 2 degrees fever.
And another question is saying, how long do you leave it under the arms, when you're taking your temperature?
Well, usually a thermometer beeps or it doesn't go up anymore. So,
yeah.
The old-fashioned ones are the best. The mercury thermometers really are the best ones there are. If you still have one of those old-fashioned ones, just leave it under arm for about 5 minutes. It won't go up any further than that. Those are the best thermometers there are.
Okay, so somebody is asking, what type of thermometer do you recommend? So you said the old kind of ones.
Yeah, if you have to use a digital thermometer because the other ones are no longer available, make sure you do it at least 3 different times. Why I say that, because it can give you an average range. Absolutely.
All right. Somebody is asking, you answered chlorine. How can we avoid fluoride? Where does it come from?
How can you
avoid fluoride?
Avoid fluoride. Yes. Well, one of the reasons I live in Independence, Missouri, and not in Kansas City is because it's the only area that doesn't have fluoride in the water. I also use fluoride-free toothpaste. I use a toothpaste with natural xylitol. It has no fluoride in it. It has no sodium lauryl sulfate. That is another toxic chemical that is used for cleaning. There are natural toothpastes available that do not have fluoride in them. So yes, absolutely. My dentist knows not to use fluoride on us. My children, there are ways to avoid fluoride. But yeah, if it's in your water, I have a water system in my house, even though I have non-fluoridated water, because there are lots of other chemicals in the water as well.
Okay. Someone said it's hard to hear. Can you hear us? I just want to make sure you can hear us now. There was a little bit of intermittent there. So the question we said was the fluoride, and she answered it. I hope everyone was able to hear. Okay. I don't see any issues, so I'm assuming that's fine. Any other questions? Okay, we had a lot of questions on the thermometer and the fluoride and the chlorine. Okay, yes. So someone is saying, is using filtered water better? Should we filter our water?
Yeah, it is always better if you filter anything you filter out is better than unfiltered water. But filtering does not take out all the chemicals. I have a specific water system that is actually a medical water system. It's rather, it's thousands of dollars. There also is reverse osmosis. If nothing else, use reverse osmosis water. That has taken everything out.
Okay. Someone's asking, is there any type of water that's best for drinking, and what type of water? Yeah, what type of water should we drink? And then people always say, don't drink out of plastic bottles, right? Because all our lives for the last so many years, we've been drinking out of plastic bottles, and now.
Oh, yeah. And, they're talking about plastic, BPH free. Well, it's not phthalate free. It may not have BPH in it, but it still has phthalates, and phthalates build up in your body and cause cancer. So stay away from plastic unless the bottle has a number 7 on it, and there's no number 7 on any water bottle that you buy in a store. It almost sounds like plastic like glass if you tap on it. So on the bottom of plastic bottles is a little triangle, and inside of that triangle is a number, and you look for number 7.
A number 7, okay.
Correct.
Okay. Can you give, someone is asking question, can you give a list of specific labs, blood work to request from my doctor?
So I do request TSH just because, like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I do request it. I request T3, free T4, if possible, depending on what lab you're dealing with, you can run DHEA, insulin growth factor 1, which is a growth hormone, also necessary for conversion. Have your hormones checked, your progesterone. Then, of course, I mentioned about the TPO antibodies that was in the presentation, the anti-thyroid antibodies, ferritin levels. Those are must-have. If I talk to anybody about thyroid, I have to have antibody tests. I have to have ferritin tests. The rest of them, I just as soon take your body temperature for the rest of the information. But yes, those are specific items that I'll look for. And like I said, if somebody has pituitary problems, then TSH really doesn't mean anything. With my TSH, they say I'm hyperactive thyroid. because it doesn't exist when I take the correct dose of thyroid hormones, but I'm underactive. I have every symptom is underactive. They honestly are not educated in that area. You can't blame the doctors. That is not where their education is focused. And
Sure.
if they are not taught these things, they cannot pass this on to you.
Okay. A comment. Great info, Dr. Ange. Love this wonderful education. That's a comment. If, we are going to be launching group workshops. So if anyone is interested, please let us know. I can convince Dr. Wetzel to come for a group workshop also. So welcome to let us know if you're interested in this topic. We will arrange a group workshop. Okay, so someone is asking about your consultation. How does it work, initial consultation?
An initial consultation, depending on if it's long distance or local, of course. Long distance, my consultations are 1 hour.
Okay.
The cost is $90.
Okay.
Then I go over, I like to use urine and saliva pH levels to take a look at that. I have people take pictures of their iris, clear iris picture, so that I can read their iridology. And then I can see in the eyes also if people have thyroid problems. So I can work long distance. I work over Skype long distance. And locally, I also have people bring in urine and saliva for me to test as well.
Well, if you want to consult with Dr. Wetzel, let us know. We've set our email, care@nourishtalk.com, and we'll connect you with her. No problem. All right. So we have another question coming up. When I worked in a dialysis unit, I had access to reverse osmosis. The nurse told me not to drink too much of it because it would leach minerals from my bones, the reverse osmosis. Can you please give feedback on this?
Absolutely not true. What leaches minerals from your bones is distilled water. We call distilled water hungry water because everything has been removed from that, and it goes into your body and sucks all the minerals out of your body to put it back into the distilled water. I've seen people who swore by distilled water. I could not convince them otherwise. Both had, they had a health food store. They were both diabetic and had health problems like osteoporosis. Yeah, that is distilled water. Reverse osmosis is safe.
Okay. Someone is asking, do you prescribe thyroid hormones? I thought you answered that before, but.
I legally cannot prescribe.
Okay.
Or diagnose as a naturopathic doctor. There is a lot of stuff, especially currently going on with the FTC and FDA that is breathing down our necks. However, I can work with you to get natural hormones and also, of course, make sure that you're on a proper supplement regimen so those hormones can be converted and you don't end up with heart disease or other problems down the line.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Somebody's saying they would love a group workshop. So we will work with Dr. Wetzel and let you know. That's great. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? Just want to make sure we give, and this is being recorded on, this is right now, we are on FB Live. If you want the recording, we will send it to all of you who have participated using Zoom. So before we wrap up, I just want to make sure if there are any other questions that you'd like to answer. All right, let me share our email if you like to reach us. If you have more questions, let us know. Okay, they want the recording. Okay. All right, before we wrap up, last call for any questions. Okay, I see something here. All right, somebody's sending me the email. All right, we have your email. If you've used the same email, I will send it. Okay, so group workshop, please let us know so that we can schedule a group workshop for all of you if you're interested. So I see a few people interested, so that's good. Okay, any last comments from you, Dr. Wetzel?
No, I really was prepared. You mentioned 20 minutes, so I was trying to see within that small time frame. Like I said before, you only get one body, take care of it. You can't put a price on health, and you don't need to suffer. There's always help. I always say God created everything our bodies needed. You just need to know what it is and how to access it. And we're here to help you. And I appreciate everybody's time this morning.
Thank you. And there's a comment, look forward to seeing Dr. Wetzel again and ask further questions. So thank you so much for your time. I hope it's very good for you. Please give us feedback, and we will arrange the group workshop for you soon, and we will let all of you know. Thank you so much for attending, and please help us spread the word. Signing off now. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.